Starter for 10.
Good morning. Welcome to Starter for 10. My name's Giles. I'm joined today by Dan and Rob.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi guys. And just wanted to wish you all a really warm welcome as well. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment, so we're very mindful of that. But we're also coming together to talk about some of that today, aren't we? And
Absolutely.
Dan, you're going to be speaking later to the main church service here about some of the things that God's put on your heart at the moment. And
That's right, yes. Yeah, with themes of confidence in a crisis. So it feels quite relevant for today's times.
Yeah. And Rob, you're going to put out a question in a minute, aren't you, I think? So Dan, you've been working on a question online, which we'd love to hear your feedback from. So Dan, tell us your question that you've been...
Yeah, sure, absolutely. My question for this morning is, how are you in a crisis?
It's a good one. That's a good one. I've been thinking about this, and do feed this stuff back in through online if you're joining us that way. So I used to deal with all that stuff. If a crisis happened, I'd do it myself. It would be only me. I couldn't really get anyone to help. I'd probably pray. But what I've learned, having dealt with a few crises over the years, is to seek the help of others much more quickly than my natural tendencies are. And that's been a real blessing. That's something that enables an opportunity to really understand, the love of other people as well when things are difficult. And I've always been really surprised when I had a fear that people wouldn't respond. If I was in a crisis, they'd go no and stuff. But you find that people are more than willing to help, and that's been such a comfort as well. So, great.
That's wonderful. Shall I share mine now? Sure. So I thought of a specific time in my life where Gail once left a piece of Tupperware on our electric stove. The Tupperware caught fire and started to melt. It formed quite a big flame, actually. And bless her, my wife is not that great in a crisis, so she decided to pick up the Tupperware and fling it towards the sink. So one fire became 3 fires where the Tupperware was spread out. And I stood up, I saw what was occurring, and I picked up our wok, and I then put out the 3 fires with the wok and saved the day. So I'm okay in a fire-based crisis, much worse in a minor inconvenience, then I'll lose my temper and go off the handle. So that's me. How about you, Rob?
I'm probably not the best in a crisis because I'm the kind of person that is already thinking like a year ahead of the crisis. So I'm the kind of person that's thinking, oh, so there's a crisis, what can we learn from this? How can it be better in the future? So in the midst of a crisis, I'm already thinking about better ways to do things in the future.
Is that very annoying?
Rather than actually dealing with the crisis that's at hand.
Is that very annoying for the people around you at the
Probably,
time?
Yeah.
Ready for the next crisis.
Ready for the next crisis.
Oh, well, it's obviously a big deal at the moment. I mean, and none of us can understand really fully what's going on for many people in Ukraine and Eastern Europe, and where the refugees are arriving in the world. We've got friends who've live in Romania, and they've had a lot of emails back and forth and social media, and it's like overwhelming them as the recipients of all of this enormous number of people who are in such a need. So that it is amazing how we all respond in those moments, isn't it? We're going to play a song now, and we're going to you'll see this online, and it's called Reckless Love. So over to that.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God, oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Some shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Great, thank you. That was just a beautiful song. It's a great reminder of how much we're loved, actually, which I always found really, really helpful, whatever the situation, whether it's
Yeah.
crisis or not. So,
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. Yeah. Shall I share my high five? Or oh, okay, cool. So I'll try and share the points of my preach now in about 5 minutes. So this is going to be interesting. And this morning I'm going to be preaching on confidence in God. And I'm going to be sharing a psalm of David, a song that the King David wrote, where he basically describes how, despite really difficult circumstances and crises, he feels totally confident and he feels totally at ease in trusting God through those crises. And as I was reading this, I was reminded of an effect in psychology that's known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I've brought along a graph with me this morning Okay, I'm a huge nerd. I love a graph. Giles is my beautiful assistant here. I think we have a skill of it this well, as well. Thank you so much, Giles.
No problem.
And basically, this effect is basically when you start to learn something, you feel an incredible sense of false confidence. So you get a small amount of experience, and then you start to feel incredibly confident. And they call this, psychologists, the peak of Mount Stupid, i.e. you know a very small amount, and you think you know everything about it. What comes next when you learn a little bit more is what's known as the Valley of Despair, as I'm sure anybody who's ever studied French in school can relate to. You learn a little bit more, and you realize how flipping difficult the subject actually is. After that process, if you make it through there, if you choose to learn more and study more, you can eventually climb up the slope of enlightenment, where you actually get real gains, real confidence in a subject. And basically what I'm saying this morning is here that David's confidence was not false confidence. It was not the top of Mount Stupid. It was confidence in God earned through a lifetime of his faithfulness, trust, and knowing that God was there through an intimate relationship with him. So please do tune into my sermon later on if you find that interesting.
Oh, that's great. I love that Mount Stupid thing. I think we all know what that feels like when we get that initial burst of, oh, I got this, and then you suddenly realise, like you say, it's not as easy as it's much more complicated.
It happens in everything. Quantum mechanics,
Yeah.
okay, electrochemistry, it's all the same.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's great. And I wonder if, Rob, you've got any anecdotes online which you want to talk about?
Yeah, so we've got a few interactions, so that's good. You can still keep those coming in. Love to hear from you and your experiences of being in a crisis and how you act, whether you're that don't panic Mr. Mannering type person, or if you're as calm as anything, or if you're that kind of picture of a duck with paddling as fast as you possibly can under the water, but everything looks absolutely serene on top as well. But so Phil was talking about how there was a building project at a school, and the crane crew put a steel girder through a classroom window whilst there was a lesson on. So I imagine that was quite expensive for the construction company.
Good insurance.
Yeah, you'd need good insurance there, wouldn't you? And Pete was talking about how whilst you need to be on it when you're working in live TV, because I imagine things go wrong and you have to think on your feet in those kinds of moments as well. And I was thinking about my wife actually, because she's a nurse, and she has to deal with cardiac arrest sometimes, for example. So she might have to kind of react really quickly in a situation to save someone's life as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are crises we feel are crises, aren't there? Like, a fire. Well, that is a real crisis, but, something that happens, like I've stubbed my toe, but actually there are some other things which are real crises.
Yeah,
sometimes our reactions can be the same in both, and actually maybe there's something to learn there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And Dan, I'm just reflecting on your graph as well a bit more about that sort of how you build confidence and how you gain confidence. And I think you're going to talk a little bit later about more about that, but also just how we trust God in that process of building confidence. And I often think sometimes he allows things to happen that are difficult for us, maybe not a crisis, but difficult, because he wants us to grow our muscles and he wants us to learn and stuff. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, you're taking bits from the sermon now, Giles, but absolutely. There's kind of two senses to this. There's this sense of kind of growing in the knowledge of who God is, and then there's looking back in the past at the challenges and trials and crises you faced, and you realise that he's been there along your side every time, all the way through it, and he's with us right now, no matter what crisis is going on in the world, and everything just feels quite scary and anxious at the moment. But we know that God is strong, he's all-powerful, and he is with us. Yeah, and it takes a lifetime to build up that confidence. It's a slow process, but it's good, and it works.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, some things you can't rush, can you? So, Rob, is there any final bits before we close this segment?
Nothing from online, no. But I was chatting to Dan earlier about what he was going to say. And I was thinking of a particular verse from Isaiah. I think it's Isaiah 40. I think I might have said 41 to you, Dan, but for Isaiah 40, I think it is, where it says that the earth and all its rulers and everything that happens in the earth is like a drop of water in a bucket in the hands of God.
Yeah.
And I find that really quite helpful to know that our God has this. And these crises that we see in our own lives and in our world, he has those. And we can have confidence in him in the midst of them.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I really like that. Well, thank you for listening and tuning in. And we're going to be starting the main service here at Bookham Baptist Church at 10:30. And you can hear more if you are going to tune into that. There's a Zoom opportunity, but also physically you're welcome to come and be with us here. And we hope and pray you'd have a really good week and learn more about how to manage some of your crises or tensions as you go into the week ahead. So, great. Thank you.